Rules, grades K through 5.
Welcome. Today we're talking about the CHAMPS Classroom Management Strategies for Rules, grades K through 5. You can see by this chart that rules and guidelines share some of the same characteristics, but they are also very different. Guidelines are general positive statements about attitudes, traits, and behaviors, while rules are specific behavior statements that all students are expected to follow.
Okay, boys and girls, we're going to review the rules before we start our assignment. Hands and feet to yourself. That means keep your
Rules
hands
state behaviors in a positive, observable way and are connected to consequences when they aren't followed. If a rule is broken, it should be obvious to anyone watching. That's why be respectful is a guideline and not a rule, since respect can be shown many different ways. You'll want to create a list of 3 to 5 basic observable rules and post them prominently in your classroom where they can be seen at all times. Any more than 5 rules can be confusing. Using pictures for the K through 5 age group is helpful. Here are some examples of rules for grades K through 5. Keep hands, arms, feet, and objects to yourself at all times. Stay on task. Follow directions the first time. Stay in your area unless given permission to get up. Keep all electronics off and in your backpack. Stating your rules positively communicates high expectations and social norming. For example, don't go off task is not as effective as stay on task. Watch this example. Instructional correction. The teacher will give instruction about a rule and expected behavior using a technique called gentle verbal reprimand with an instructional component.
Celine, please keep your feet under your desk. This follows our rules of keeping your hands and feet to yourself, and it makes the room a safer place so no one trips over your feet. Thank you.
Use instructional corrections in the beginning of the school year when students don't know the rules yet, and after long breaks when they may have forgotten. Once you're sure the students understand your rules, you can move on to correctional consequences.
You seem to be having a hard time following directions today of keeping your feet and hands to yourself, so I need you to stand up. You're going to go to the timeout area for 2 minutes. I'll set the timer. You need to have a seat and just think about what you've done.
Correctional consequences should be consistent, but not severe or time-consuming. Let's watch another example. This time, the student is breaking the rule about staying in an assigned area.
Go ahead now and start reading. Tyrell, remember one of our rules is stay in your assigned area. You need to go back to your seat and do the right thing to get the teacher's attention.
In order to find the best consequences for your classroom, ask yourself these 3 things. Number 1, which rules are important to you as a teacher? Number 2, which rules are most often violated? And number 3, what level of structure do your students need? For example, in a classroom that needs a high level of structure, your rules may be focused on limiting movement in the classroom, such as stay in your area unless given permission to leave. In a classroom that requires low structure, students act more maturely and can use the restroom, sharpen their pencils, or get a drink of water quickly and responsibly. And you may not have any rules about classroom movement. Class structure can change throughout the year as your students adjust to your rules, expectations, and classroom management style. Classroom consequences can vary from simple verbal reprimands to after-school detentions.
Boys and girls, stay in your area because if you don't stay in your assigned area, you may get a behavior point. And no one wants a behavior point because if you don't have enough points to add up, you won't be able to attend Fun Friday. And we have some exciting things going on Fun Friday for this week.
Remember that consequences are delivered calmly, immediately, and consistently every time a rule is broken. Most important, you must reinforce the rules by consistently referring to them to encourage positive behavior, as well as referring to them when you provide consequences. If you don't follow or use your own rules, the students will think they aren't important. Remember, the more you refer to, review, and reinforce your classroom rules, the more positive learning environment you'll create for your students.
What kind of team was Brian on? A baseball team. Very good. Brian was definitely on the baseball team.